Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jen and this is my channel. So today I'm going to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a few days now, and I just seemed like I was either putting it off subconsciously or I have been doing other videos and just didn't get around to it. Whatever the case may be, I just didn't do it yet, and today seemed like the perfect day to do it because it's something that I do want to talk about. And I know some people are going to say, don't address the hate, don't respond to the haters, don't respond to the negativity. And this isn't responding to any hate or negativity in general. This is speaking of, in a broad sense, about life and how you deal with life in general. So let me get into what I'm talking about. Over a week ago now, somebody had left me a comment, and the comment, I can't remember word for word. I probably should have screenshotted it or copied it down or something. But it was something to the effect that I was way too vulnerable and fragile. There was actually a couple comments. One said I was too fragile to be on YouTube, and the other one said I was way too vulnerable to be on YouTube, that I should delete my account and just go back to living my quiet life off of the internet, out of the eye of the public people. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, at first that really hurt my feelings. I think that sometimes we like to play off that comments and things others say don't hurt us, but in reality, when you say, oh, that doesn't hurt my feelings or that doesn't affect me, it does affect you. To some level, it does affect you because that's how we are all hardwired. We have feelings. And at some point, it's going to crawl into our brains and it's going to pop up and you're going to replay that tape in your head at some point in your life. Even if it's not now, you may blow it off and think, that doesn't bother me right now, but at some point down the road, when something else happens, it will trigger that memory of somebody saying something hurtful to you, and you're gonna replay that in your head. So at first I was like, oh, whatever. I think I deleted the comments and I moved on. I make no apologies that I delete a lot of comments and I block a lot of people because I simply will not stand for it, and I do not have time and I do not want to deal with negativity. And there are probably some people that I block and some comments that I delete that people won't agree with, but in the end of the day, it's my channel and my call of what I feel needs to be deleted, and I will continue doing so. I have no desire to deal with negativity in my life. I know sometimes I can throw back and clap back at people and be snarky, and it depends on what mood I'm in. But at the end of the day, I know that there's actually no point in responding to negativity or negative comments or hateful comments because it's just egging it on and making it continue, because they're just going to come back and say something more stupid, and I'm just going to say something more stupid, and it's just going to keep going on. So that's why I just delete, and I am not against people having different views from me if you do it respectfully. I know that the way I'm eating right now is not perfect. It's way far from perfect. I know that I have not been logging my food 100% correctly. You guys can see that when I weigh my foods, there are like fractions of ounces that I don't log. There are, like, my coffee creamer I don't log. I understand this. I get it. But the way I'm eating right now, as of today, is 100% improved from the way I was eating last week. And that is the only thing that I can do, is keep improving. I'm not a perfect person. My journey will never be perfect. As I stated a long time ago, I will never be perfect. Could I have done better all this time? Could I have lost a ton of weight by now? Yeah, I could have. And if I calculated all the 10 and 20 pounds that I've lost during this last almost year, I probably have lost 100 pounds, but I've gained and regained and lost and regained. It's been a back and forth battle for me. And it's because I haven't gotten serious about it. It's because a lot of reasons because, and it's just because, like, at the end of the day, and the bottom line is I just haven't been committed enough and I haven't worked hard enough. I'm making no excuses for me not doing better. It's my own fault. I've said a lot of reasons why I binge, and people say, well, that's not a good excuse to binge. There's actually no excuse to binge. There's no excuse for anything, but there are reasons. And I'm working on my reasons why I binge. I'm attending therapy to work on the reasons why I binge. So, like I said, I don't disagree with anyone who gives me comments and suggestions on how to improve my eating. At first, yes, I may feel a sting because I don't know, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that feel this way, that I think I'm doing it. I know I'm not doing everything right, but in my mind, my first response is, why are they telling me what to do? I'm doing just fine. When I calm down and when I think about things realistically, I realize that I am not perfect. I am far from perfect, and suggestions are good for me. So I'm okay with people making suggestions if it's done respectfully. It's just the ones that are rude, that think that they know everything and think that their way of doing things is the only way of doing things. Like when people say, and I know it's not always meant in a bad way, but when people say, you should do this, you should do that, don't tell me what I should do, because there's a million things that I should do that I don't do. If you want to give me a suggestion, or anybody out there, this goes for anyone, you could say maybe, have you considered doing this? Or something that has worked for me is blah, blah, blah. So this goes to the comment that we'll go back to my, you guys know that I ramble and I get off track. So after I read that comment saying that I was way too vulnerable and that I shouldn't be on YouTube and that I should just delete my channel and go back to living my quiet life off of social media, it did hurt my feelings. And I did not ever consider deleting my channel, but it did hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie. And I thought, well, maybe I am too vulnerable to be on YouTube. Maybe I should just do this quietly to myself, not put myself out there, and just keep struggling the way I have been for years until I actually get it right, like I did before. I got it right before and I lost a lot of weight. Then I didn't get it right and I gained the weight back. So while I was feeling bad about myself, I usually spend a lot of time on Facebook or playing games on the internet or watching YouTube videos. That's how I cope with feelings of sadness, or of course we all know I eat, so I'm sure I probably ate to drown those feelings, because that is something that I learned to do. It's a learned behavior, but I'm trying to unlearn them. So while I was on Facebook, I clicked on a video. I don't even remember what the video was called, but it was a TED Talk. And the woman who was giving the TED Talk's name was Brene Brown. And she started talking about some things, and I was like, wow, that really hits home, and that really, I can really relate to what she's talking about. And then I had to do something else. I don't even remember what I had to do. So I clicked off of the video, and then I kind of just forgot about it. So the next day I was watching a YouTube live stream from a woman that I really enjoy watching. And she was talking about different kinds of self-helps and things to empower yourself and encouraging things. And at the end of her live stream, she mentioned Brene Brown and a Netflix documentary. And I thought, that is the woman that I was watching on YouTube. So I decided to go over to Netflix and watch the documentary. So the Netflix documentary that was mentioned and that I decided to go watch by Brene Brown is called A Call to Courage, and it is based on her wonderful best-selling book that I bought afterwards. I actually bought 3 of her books because I loved her so much. But it's based on her book, Daring Greatly. and it says how the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way we live, love, parent, and lead. And it just hit me when I saw that in the title, in the description, because it had the word vulnerable in it. And I was just, the day before, feeling vulnerable because somebody called me vulnerable. So I was actually feeling more vulnerable than I was in the beginning because somebody pointed out that I was being vulnerable. So let me tell you a little bit, just a couple little things about Brene Brown. She is a research professor at the University of Houston, and she has spent her career studying shame and the relationship between vulnerability and courage. She is a public speaker. She does lots of TED Talks, and she sold millions of books, New York Times best-selling books. She's authored many books, and she makes her career doing public speaking as well as being a professor at the University of Houston. So during this documentary, well, it was not actually a documentary, it's just a talk she did. So during this talk, she was talking about how being vulnerable, you have to be vulnerable to be courageous. And without being vulnerable, you can't be courageous. Because if you put yourself out there, you have to open yourself up to criticism. So Brene's theory is that in order to live a courageous life, you need to be vulnerable. Because nobody opens themselves up and takes chances in life without being vulnerable. She likened it to somebody going on a date that wanted to tell their significant other, the person that they were dating, that they loved them, and how that took courage to do so, but it also opened them up to be extremely vulnerable to that person, knowing that perhaps that person wasn't going to tell them that they loved them in return, and you're setting yourself up to be hurt by them because you are opening yourself up and bearing your heart and bearing your soul to people and telling people your imperfections, and knowing that they can come back at you and pick at you and hurt you and say things that can hurt you. But knowing that to live your life the way you want to be successful in life, to be happy in life, you have to have that courage, and in return you have to make yourself vulnerable. So it made me feel a lot better knowing that being vulnerable isn't a bad thing like I had been thinking it was. Being here on YouTube is not an easy thing. It's very scary sometimes. I think a lot more people would be more willing to share their lives if there wasn't such a risk of people being hurtful, hateful, and just nitpicking at any small little detail of your life. I have actually had somebody accuse me of eating an apple because it was present in one video clip and then disappeared in another video clip. I've had people nitpick at me for my blotchy skin. I've had people nitpick at me for using plastic bags. Anything that people can pick at, they do sometimes. And it can be annoying at times. It can be hurtful at times. But I choose to see the greater good and know that I want to live a courageous life. I want others to see that there is good that can come of bad. I may keep failing. I may binge tomorrow. I may binge the next day. I'm just coming off of a lot of binges. A long, prolonged binge, but I'm still coming back. I know that to a lot of people, my journey looks like I've failed, but I don't consider what I've been doing a failure. I know that I haven't been extremely successful in the weight loss department, but in other areas of my life, I am doing better. I am more courageous. I feel more comfortable coming in front of the camera, especially telling people that I'm not doing well. There is always a little bit of hesitation and fear and shame when you do fall off of your food plan, when you do binge, and having to come on camera and tell people that are expecting to see success there is a lot of fear, more than a little, there is a lot of fear in opening yourself up, knowing what the reaction is going to be. So Brene in her special talked about, I'm not going to give a lot of it away because you guys should definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth watching. Not just for weight loss. It has nothing actually to do with weight loss. It's just courage and vulnerability in all areas of your life. So in her talk, she talks about how back in, I think it was 2010 or 2012, I don't know. It's when before she wrote this first book that she wrote. She was asked to do a public speaking event, and they told her that she could do whatever she wanted, speak on whatever she chose to. And she decided to be daring, and she decided to speak on something she had never spoke on before in public, and that was the relationship between vulnerability and courage. All her other talks were spent with the things that she teaches at the university, and she's only spoke about this specific topic in front of a small group of people. So this talk was going to be in front of 500 people, and she said she wasn't too worried because 100 of those people she knew from working with them at her university, and the other 400 were colleagues that were on her level that she wasn't too afraid of criticism. So she got up and she gave her speech. She felt she did really well, and she went home. She was proud of herself, and she thought, like I said, she thought she did well, and I'm sure she did do well, I'm sure. And then somebody called and told her that somebody had recorded the conference, her speaking event, and it was on YouTube. And then she went to YouTube and saw it, and she knew she didn't want to read the comments because she knew how critical people can be. So the video started getting views. It got 500 views, and then 10,000 views, and then eventually it went to over 1 million views, and there was thousands and thousands of comments. And for a long time she didn't read the comments because she knew that there would be negative comments. But she said she was not nearly prepared for the negative comments when she did finally read them. And when she did read them, it hurt her a lot. And she even said, and this meant a lot to me because it validated the way I feel, if this woman, a successful college professor who has her stuff together, gets so much hate on YouTube, then me getting so much hate, being somebody who is struggling a lot and has a completely messy life, it makes me feel a lot better about myself. I know I've talked to a lot of fellow YouTubers, a lot of fellow weight loss community YouTubers, and we have all like compared horror stories of, you know, hater comments and stuff. And that does help, knowing that I'm not the only one getting so much hate on YouTube. But when I hear somebody like her, a college professor, like I said, someone who has their life together completely, get so much hate, it validates me for feeling the way I do. So she was reading some of the comments that were left for her that she read that day, and a lot of them were very hurtful, very hateful. There were some that was telling her not to worry about being vulnerable, that she needed Botox, she needed to lose 15 pounds. Her husband was probably cheating on her. I can't remember exactly all the hurtful comments. And then somebody actually told her to kill herself. So she said that hurt her really, really badly. And to deal with it, she decided to snuggle up in her blankets and watch Downton Abbey, binge watch it, because that's how she deals with life, is binge watching TV. So she did so for, I forget how long, a prolonged period of time. And then to try to prolong the coping with mechanism that she uses, she decided to go on the internet and Google facts about Downton Abbey, like where was it filmed, and then she eventually, like the actors that were in it. So she eventually got to who was president, when Downton Abbey was filmed. And that's when she came up with Theodore Roosevelt in 1910. And then she came across one of Theodore Roosevelt's speeches, and that's when it all clicked for her, and that's how she went on to write the book Daring Greatly. And I'm going to read to you the passage from Theodore Roosevelt that she quoted in the show and that she quotes in her book that the book was inspired by. And this is what it says. This is what he said. "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold, timid souls who neither knew victory nor defeat." I can totally understand why that passage meant so much to her and how she came to write the book she did after she read that, because it all makes sense. A lot of these people who like to criticize us meaning the people that put our lives out there, who are trying in life, even though we're failing, who like to point out our failures. At least we're putting ourselves out there and we're trying. 9/10 of the people who leave me hate comments, just pure hate, vile comments, mean comments, either have 0 profile pictures or 0 content, or they're using a fake picture on their account. These people do not have the courage to make themselves vulnerable, to put themselves out there. And I know a lot of people are I'm probably going to get a lot of comments from these kind of people and tell me I'm totally wrong, that I don't know what I'm talking about. This doesn't come from me myself. This comes from somebody else who has spent her life studying these kinds of things. So I tend to believe and side with her rather than faceless people on the internet. It's so easy to judge other people. I am not saying I have not judged other people. Totally have judged others, and I regret doing so. But it's very easy to sit back and tell other people what they should be doing, how they should be living life, how much weight they should be losing, what they should not be eating, what they should be eating, when they have no content. They have no videos. They don't open their lives up to let others judge them. But they're more than willing to judge other people when they can't be in the arena fighting the good fight like we are. We open ourselves up. We let them come into our lives. We let them make rude comments to us. And I am so glad I came across this, because it is hard to be on YouTube. Like I said, it's not an easy thing. But I feel a lot better about myself, about my decision to be on YouTube, about making myself vulnerable, and about having the courage to put myself out there. If I keep failing, I keep failing. But at least I'm going to keep trying. There will never be a time in my life where I don't try. I'm not going to try not to cry, because this is something that is very emotional for me. I have had a lot of setbacks, and I could have tried a lot harder. I know I could have, but I didn't. But at the end, I'm still trying. I'm not giving up. Whether I keep failing, I hope I don't keep failing. I hope I have what it takes to make it. But if I don't, at least I was out there. At least I put myself out there. And I had the courage to live my life the way I want to live my life. Making YouTube videos brings me a lot of joy. A lot of people have accused me of doing it for the coin, for doing it for free stuff, for people to send me gifts. Absolutely not the case. Yes, it's nice to get compensated for making videos, but I absolutely enjoy this. If I were to never get compensated from YouTube again, I would still be making videos because I enjoy this. I have found that I enjoy speaking. I didn't know that I had a voice, that I would be able to speak. Coming from someone who, when I was in high school, I couldn't even look somebody in the eye. I was that shy and that timid. I rarely spoke. I was that self-conscious and ashamed of myself. And to see how far I've came in just a few years, actually, because I spent most of my adult life living in fear and living in shame because of the way I looked, because of things in my past. But in 8 years, no, I haven't lost all the weight I could have. But there are a lot of things in my life that have improved greatly. I know weight is extremely important because health is extremely important. But I've made great strides in being more confident, being more open, being able to speak better to people, to carry on conversations, to relate to people. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, why I have a renewed faith in sharing my journey and not caring what anybody thinks about it. Like I said, I know that I'm not perfect. I hope I continue making changes in my food, in my life, that will make me more successful in my journey. It's all a learning process. We're gonna get knocked down. I know that you can't use that as an excuse. You have to do the job and dig in and be accountable. And there are some times where I'm not, but I am trying harder to be. So that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. I will share with you the books that I did get from Brene Brown. And of course, I haven't read all these yet. I have started on Daring Greatly. And I will leave a link in the description below. And let me just throw that out there that I am not an Amazon affiliate. I get no kickback from these links. I'm just going to leave you a link from Amazon where I purchased the books at. Of course, you can find these books probably a lot of other places, but this is where I got them. So the first one is, this is the one I'm reading currently, which is Daring Greatly. When I finish it, I plan on doing a review on the full book. It is very eye-opening, very empowering. I love this book. This may become my very favorite book ever, I think. The next one is The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. And then the last one I got is I Thought It Was Just Me, But It Isn't. Making the journey from what will people think to I am enough. So you can get all of those on Amazon. I'm pretty sure they were all under $10. I think they were around $9.95, maybe $10.50 was one of them, but they're just like around the $10 mark. Pretty affordable for a book, I think. And you can also see her documentary. Well, it's not actually a documentary. It's a special on Netflix. It's called A Call to Courage. I would definitely recommend that as well. If you don't have Netflix or you can't afford to buy the books, you can always look her. She has a lot of TED Talks, a lot of videos here on YouTube. You can type her name in and I'm sure you will find many, many videos by her. Very inspirational woman. I highly recommend her. So there you go. That is what I have to talk about today. I hope you guys all have a good week, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone.